All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode and another chapter in Coaching University. My name is Japanese Tutor, and today I am your instructor. So, what is Coaching University? It's something that was started last year, and every month I try to give tips on coaching and how to be a better coach and a more effective coach, not only for you but for the student, and hopefully making the process a little bit easier for both sides. In the last episode or chapter, we really dove deep into how to become a better teacher and an effective teacher, and there was a lot of lecturing done. Now, I felt like I had to do a lot because of the content that we were discussing. I didn't think that an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes was enough, and it was a lot of content, but we got through it, and you guys asked amazing questions, and you guys are just extremely smart. So I kind of wanted to do a better job of addressing your questions and giving you more time on the floor, because some of the questions I did miss, and they were great questions. So please go ahead and ask your questions. And for those of you just joining us, my name is Japanese Tutor, and I teach chess for a living, and I want to make you guys better and more effective coaches. Today's topic is, well, we can probably go on a tangent, but today's topic is about teaching adults and the difference between teaching an adult and teaching a kid or children. And I want to say like adult learner. So I want to say anybody over. Oh, and thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. By the way, if you do enjoy the content, come over to Twitch and give me a follow. Trying to get to 6K. I think we're at 5.5 now. So really appreciate it if you did that. So yeah, so I would say anybody under 20, 22, 23 is still a child. This is coming from an old man. You're probably going to hate me for that. But, and I'm talking about somebody who's taking chess and taking lessons because they want to get better. And that's what I feel an adult learner. If you're still in school, I feel like you're still, you could be in school till you're 30. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, never mind my point then. But yeah, adult learners. So what's the main difference? Sometimes when you have a student and they're a kid, they're forced. Oh, by the way, my background sound, are you here? It's New York City background. So yeah, it's going to be lovely for us. So the one thing is that when you're teaching kids, they're probably forced into teaching sometimes, and it's kind of unfortunate. And we talked about strategies and ways in our last episode where you can kind of help them through that, motivate them to learn. And then it's up to you as the educator to make it fun and interesting and giving them a sense of that they want more or that they want to learn. And an adult learner is almost never forced, at least for chess, right? Nobody's like, I'm gonna shake you out and you need to learn some chess. Hopefully the parents aren't doing that to their kid. But usually the adult learner wants to come to the lessons. They want to get better, right? And the first tip that I want to give you for an adult learner is that they are going to have just more life experience. And what does that mean? They're busy, maybe they have a job and stuff like that. But also, so knowing that, you kind of want to make it relatable. So if you know their field, let's say they're into programming and it's a lot of the if A then B kind of scenario, then you can kind of cater to them in that way, right? And maybe you learn a little bit about their field and it'll just make that transition and that learning process a little bit easier. And I'll go ahead and make sure that I have to remind myself that I have to look at Chess TV chat as well. And I have to look at both chats to make sure that I am doing well. So welcome, guys. If you are here, let me see some highs, or tell me where you're from. Tell me the country that you're from. I would love to know. Right. So, for example, one of my students, he's a programmer, and what I do, I just kind of make some some old Python jokes or some JavaScript jokes, and it really connects the lesson well, right? And just knowing a little bit about that or inserting that into your lesson is just going to make that smooth transition into them really wanting to keep working with you because you care. At that point, it's just not like, hey, I'm teaching you and get out of my face, give me money and buy. But the point is that you really understand them, so they appreciate that a lot. And so that also ties into remembering their backgrounds, right? As adults, they probably have a different life experience than you do, and maybe getting to know them a little bit before the lesson, like, hey, who are you? Where are you from? What's cool about you? Especially for an adult learner, is, I think, really, really important. I love to get to know them, and for me, it's a more of a friendly thing, and say, hey, just tell me about you. Why are you amazing? Everybody's amazing. Just tell me what you do. So with chess, you really, with adult learners in chess, you really want to use the terminology that is given. So pin, make sure that you drill that into their heads. It's also important for kids, but kids will just pick up on something. You don't really have to teach it to them, where you can just say pin like 10 times, and then they're like, oh, I see the situation, and they can connect 2 and 2 together. Or that was 1 on 1, but 2 and 2 together, right? For adult learners, I think it would be best, and so here's my recommendation, to define everything. Especially if they're a beginner player. If they just started, I think it's really, really key. It's the best thing to do is to just define everything and really ask them questions and see if they got it. Okay, so like if you identify, okay, this is a pin, and you explain what a pin is, and then give them an example. Hey, is this a pin? Why or why not? And give them open-ended questions. Now we're going back to school, right? But give them open-ended questions. Make them think. The one thing that is really going to separate a bad coach from a good coach is how much you engage them in the lesson, right? And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and here we go. Thank you so much for the follow as well. Hey. So the one thing that's really going to separate a bad coach from a good coach is the engagement, and really having your student engage with you. Instead of saying, hey, I'm the stronger player, you came to me and I'm going to teach you whatever I have today. What is, I think, more effective is to say, hey, what do you think about that? How do you think we do this? Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your plans. And don't discount them, right? Really make them understand, like, hey, this may be not the best plan, or maybe this is an interesting plan. Let's dive a little bit deeper, right? Even if you're a couple hundred or maybe 1,000 points stronger than your student, you still want to respect their ideas, especially for an adult learner. Of course, you can get around and be like, "Ha, no, that sucks. I'm sorry," but like you can also acknowledge them because they're trying their best most of the time, and challenge them to come up with an idea. Challenge them to use what they know and manifest it into words. That's a hard part. That is really one hard thing about chess, is that we know, like, okay, 95 looks good, but why does it look good, right? Like if we were just to take a position, right? So let's say here, and then here, here, right? This knight d5 square, right, it might not be the best move right now, but we kind of can see that in the future, this knight might be good there, right? It might be nice. But why? What makes that square a good square? Why not another square? Why not a4? Why not b5? Does that knight need to go there? Can the bishop go there? Can the other knight get there? Maybe the queen wants to use that square. Right? Really challenge them. So that leads me into my next point, is using emotion. Right? Using emotion in your lessons. What does that mean? What is using emotion? Like, you really want to add something that's going to make it memorable for them. An exciting moment. Something that happened in the game. You're like, I'm going to show you the best checkmate on 5 I've ever seen, ending up in Anastasia's mate. Right? And that enthusiasm carries over. Because instead, I can be giving this lesson like this. And so, I'm just gonna tell you about how to integrate kind of emotions into this lesson. It's not really a big deal. Like, we can just kind of, I guess, give positive encouragement. Or I can be happy about it and be like, integrate emotions into your learning and just make it upbeat and happy. And even though you're providing the same content, people feed off of energy. And especially adults. Kids, they just feel they're having a great time. Adults are just like, yo, you have amazing energy. Let's keep it rocking. Let's do this up. And I appreciate you. And so I always make it a point where I'm like, how can I teach better? But also, how can I make the student more engaged? How do I make the student say, hey, I want to keep learning? Or I want to do better because JT is there for me. And I want to impress him. I want to show him that I'm actually there for him as well. I want to show him that I'm improving. One of the things about me, and I will tell this to my student, I care about your success. And now that seems super cliche, but I honestly do. I will ask you, how many hours do you have? Right? How many hours do you have a day to study chess? How many hours do you have in a week? Can you set aside some time to not watch TV and to study chess? Is that too much to ask? And if the answer is, hey, I can't do that, then you're not the student for me. And because I just feel like I really, really want people to grow. Right? I really want people to grow. And I think just setting that tone at the beginning of our interactions really sets the whole pace for the whole time you're with that person. You see what I'm saying? Let me just go ahead and make sure that I'm checking. And guys, if you just came in, go ahead and ask your questions. Basically, I am doing Coach University, and I really want to answer questions about coaching or teaching methods and styles. No, better use the other horse. Yeah. As a person, this lesson really changed and moved me. You're the tutor that everyone would beg to have. Ciao. And so, yeah, really putting emotions into your lessons. Now, it works for everyone. It works for all ages. Actually, the older, so that, like, the really late learner might find it off-putting that you're so upbeat and energetic. So you have to be careful of that. But you have to kind of read the person. See what they need. Sometimes And you might sign up for this without knowing, but sometimes they need a therapist, and chess is their therapy. And just kind of, that's why I'm telling you, get to know your student, get to know their background, get to really connect with your student, right? With chess, I want to say, if you take anything away from this, is probably the easiest point of today. So if you take anything away from this, I want you to remember this. This is something that I came up with. I've never heard it before, so I'm going to coin it. Maybe we'll highlight it and keep it forever. So a game of chess is like a conversation between two people. And for you to make effective moves, you have to understand what the other person is saying. In life, we understand that there are some people who wait to talk. They're not listening to you. You're talking to them, but they look like they're listening to you. They're not talking at all, but they're just waiting for their turn to talk and not being an active listener. Right? And that happens a lot in chess. We're like, yo, I need a mate. I need to get my pieces out. I need to do this. I need to do that. Instead of saying, hey, my opponent has plans. My opponent has ideas. Let me see what they're doing. You want to fork me? Or, oh, you're trying to, ruin my pawn structure. You want to trade a bishop for a knight and make your other minor pieces good. I see. Right? And I think if you can explain it in that way, it just kind of makes sense. Look for your opponent's moves. What are they really saying with their moves? Chess is a great game because it's a game of perfect information. You can't hide anything in chess. Everything's on the board. You start off with 16 pieces. So do they. So ask yourself, what are they really trying to do? And that's something you can take to your students. You can use that. That's powerful in and of itself. So if you take anything away today, I want you to take that. That conversation in chess is a conversation between two people, or like a conversation between two people. Okay. So a lot of people, and this isn't for just chess. A lot of people really enjoy just being taught. The teacher's doing something and they're listening. Hey, I'm learning. Hey, I'm doing this, and it's great. It is honestly great. But what about, instead of that, you kind of gauge them? Because some people, you need to lecture. Some people, they don't want to do anything. They just want to have the facts in front of them. Give me this, give me this, give me this. Cool. But for a lot of adult learners, in my experience, they're really happy when you explore with them. And you want to encourage that. You want to encourage exploration. So one of the ways that I encourage exploration in my students is to say, hey, you can play any opening you want to play. You don't have to play the opening that I know the best. You don't have to play an opening that I like, right? If you want to play the exchange French, I don't know why you would do that, but go ahead and play it. Right? Do it. If you want to play the Grob, go ahead, do it. I'm all for exploration. And I will be transparent with them. If I'm not comfortable in an opening, I will tell them, hey, I am not comfortable in this opening. Or I don't know a lot about it. I'll study it, digest it, and I'll come back to you. And that actually reminds me of a really, really powerful teaching technique. So if you have a pen and paper, this is another key. If, especially like this doesn't even have to be only about chess. This is another key. So let's say you have a student in your class, and maybe you're doing a group lesson or you're teaching at a school. There's this method of the parking lot method of answering questions. What does that mean? Let's say you are talking about king and pawn in games, and the student says, "Oh, I had this game, and he had a bishop. How does that change the position?" Right? That may be a valid question. What you want to do is you want to have a space for that question to exist. Because if you don't answer that question, they're going to feel left out. So I address the question, hey, that's a really, really amazing question. Give me some time to think about it and I'll come back to you. Or let me finish this and I will answer it as soon as I do this. Now, if you're in a physical classroom, you can write it on the whiteboard, on the blackboard. If you're online, you can have a space. Maybe you have a whiteboard at your place. You can write it there. Or maybe you have something online, like I think Jamboard, right? Where that can just exist and that question can just exist. So if you have students that want to ask questions, you can have a space for that. But encourage them to ask questions, because when they ask questions is when they truly will be able to understand it better and better. Like and then they're gonna say, okay, I get it. And now you ask them a question about what you just taught them. And if they're able to answer you, guess what? They got it. Is it making sense? Is this making sense, guys? So, okay, great. So yeah, that was that was definitely like another key, like that parking lot technique. Right? You really want to like address their questions and don't forget to answer one of their questions. Really make it a plan. Like and if you're in a classroom with multiple people and they both ask you questions, you have to say, "Hey, that's a great question. I need you to write that down because I already have his question and I don't want to not answer your amazing question." And then you can invite the rest of the class to say, "Hey, if you have any questions about this, bam, write it down and we'll answer them at the end of class." Easy. Or at the beginning of the next class, let's answer your questions. Right? One thing that I like to do, which we covered in the previous lesson or in the previous Coach University, is that I like to ask myself, what question are they going to ask? As soon as I teach this lesson, what questions are they going to ask? So I preemptively start asking myself questions like, okay, if I were my student and I were in their shoes, what would I do? I come up with some questions in my head, and then I put them into the lesson. Now guess what? Literally, you start teaching the lesson, and then they're gonna be like, but JT, and then you answer their question before they're even able to say it. They're like, this is why I pay you. This is why I'm with you, right? This is why you're there, right? But it's all that, it's the pre-work, right? Like it's the work that you do prior to the lesson and lesson planning, and we talked about that before. And we'll talk about that in future lessons as well, like more about lesson planning and ideas and stuff like that. So let's go on to the next topic. Making assignments convenient. What does that mean? Adult learners don't have time. As we get older, sometimes we just work, we have kids, we have responsibilities, just think about it, right? Most adults 40 hours a week. They're spending 30 minutes to an hour commuting each way, right? So that adds on very easily 5 to 10 hours. Then they need to relax, shower, eat. That's about 60 to 70 hours right there gone. And then they want to watch some TV. They want to relax. So there's 80 hours a week gone. Don't forget sleep. Most of the week is gone. And then they're coming to you and they're trying to play chess. So you have to give them information in bite-sized chunks. Do not overwhelm your student. Do not give them massive amounts of homework. Be understanding. Give the work and say, hey, it's up to you to do this. Chess is what you put into it. Right? If you put in all this work, you're going to be rewarded. And it is what it is. So you really have to make assignments very convenient for adult learners. And honestly, if you can find opportunities where you can say, hey, do you need any help with this? Or, like, do you understand everything that I put in the homework? They're more likely to finish it, and they're probably going to feel like you care. But don't do it in an annoying fashion. Like, as soon as you give the homework, you're just like knocking and you're just like looking around. Finish your homework. Hey, finish your homework. Hey, did you finish your homework? Right? So don't do that. Don't be one of those. And the one thing is that you want to be with them, right? It's not them once they get you, right? It's not them by themselves anymore. Plus you guys are a unit. You guys are a team trying to get better together. You as a coach and as maybe a person, right? Because people are amazing and they have all these amazing things about their life. And they're coming to you for chess. So just remember that. It's a team effort. It's not just a them effort, right? So don't be too annoying. And one thing that I want to say about adult learners is that most can take criticism. They're older. They're not going to get offended. But there are people that, hey, if you criticize something, it means something's totally wrong with me, and then they just can't. They can't do it. They're just like, well, no, you just criticize me. Like, I must be the worst person, right? And that's just not. It's not true, but whatever. But I'm going to say you should always try to offer feedback. Always offer feedback. Always offer, say, hey, you did something wrong here. And I see your intention, which was good, but you have to go either move deeper, or did you calculate this line, or what if this? And you say, hey, if you want to play this plan, then I recommend doing this first, or I recommend maybe, a different position, right? Tell them how it works. Tell them when it works. Show them why their attack isn't good, but show them how to make it better. Don't just say, man, you're just whack. It just doesn't work. Like, didn't you see this move? Like, how could you even play this? Right? And that goes back into encouraging, right? That goes back into encouraging, and it's just, you gotta say things nice. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Although it could be true, like, oh, didn't you see this? But tell them when it does work, because now they have a reference point. They're coming to you. So I keep getting these messages or these play requests. So hold on, let me just do nobody at the moment. There we go. So I don't get these beeps. Okay. Another thing that is really good. I do it naturally, but smile. Just, it's super simple. Just try to remember that, you know, they're coming to you. And if you're just like, oh, yeah, I mean, like, you know, let's just play some chess and we're gonna go over polymorphy and we're gonna go over the opera game, you know, the opera house game. And he played this amazing, you know, or you can even use the same tone, like, hey, you know, like today we're gonna go over this, and if you just smile, it just carries it better. And sometimes learning can be very therapeutic. Learning can be their oasis in the desert that we call life, right? The time that they spend with you could probably be the most important hour they have that whole week, because it's something that they want to do. And don't take that away from them. You know, it's helped. Chess has helped a lot of people in many different ways, and you don't know what they're going through, so just smile, make it better. The next thing is, like, when you go over a new concept and you're teaching a new concept, right? Understand that, and we talked about this before. We kind of even argued in the chat. We had like different ideas. Not argued. I don't want to say argued, because we didn't like bicker and we didn't yell at each other. But we had conflicting ideas where I was like, hey, people have different learning styles, which I absolutely agree with. But there were some people that said, oh, no, there's no such thing as different learning styles, right? I still am on the boat saying, hey, I'm with the group that says there are different learning styles. And I've seen it work, and I've seen, you know, I switched up my technique for this one student, and then they got it. Anyways, people have different learning styles, and you have to cater to them, right? Some people are visual learners. Some people just can listen to something and they understand it. Some people need to grab something. Some people need to see it multiple times. Try different techniques and see which one they respond better to. Not that they should be your guinea pig, but just throw some in there, right? Like, hey, let's do this mental exercise. Let's play this variation out blindfolded. Let's not move any pieces. Or if they're not getting it, maybe say, hey, let's go through the line and let's go through every single subline. Or they kind of hear a line and you ask them, hey, what do you think about this? And what move would you play after we played 5 moves blindfolded for each side? And having them reconstruct it in their head. Right, many different ways. So the next thing that kind of goes in line with this is have them, whatever they learn, help them use whatever they learned. Right. For example, if they just learned the London system, sorry, but if they just learned the London system, then tell them you play the London system. Right. I need to see what you're lacking so I can make you better. Right. And so if you learned about forks and stuff like that, ask them to start, maybe try to create ideas. In chess, it's always best if you can create something instead of like blundering. Right. There's a very famous phrase. Tactics happen when people make mistakes. Strategy happens when people don't make mistakes. And in chess, that gets a little bit crazy, right? what's a mistake, what's not a mistake. We got engines. Why, we never make mistakes. Like, I'm like 3,500 on a good day when I turn my engine on. And some people confuse their, the computer strength for their strength. They're like, yeah, why didn't he see the maiden 35? It was obviously forced. So, the next thing is, you have to be flexible with schedule. Yeah. With your schedule, with your plan for them. So I would say the first lesson is just, hey, I'm with you, you're with me, cool. So for me, I do a lot of pre-work, right? So I literally just look at a whole bunch of games. You're not flexible. For most of my students, I look at about 200 of their most recent games. I don't look at any bullet games, but more like rapid. And if it's a longer blitz time control, then maybe that. But I look at 200 of their games, see what ideas they're missing, see what ideas that are common, and then I make a kind of a lesson plan for them and say, okay, this is what I think that you need to do to get better. Because for me, I feel, why should I waste my time looking at their games during the lesson if I can just do that work myself and then make them much better? Now, if there's something critical in one of their games that I feel like, hey, I can't show this without going over one of their games, okay, fine. That's one of the exceptions, right? But I can just see their games, and then I can pull from a famous game or a famous example, and they'll start recognizing patterns. But so the first lesson might be on that trajectory, and then the second lesson, they might go crazy. Their schedule might change. Something might be wrong. So just try to be flexible with time and, understanding that people have lives. They have, aside from that 1 hour with you, they also have a life the same way that you have a life. Now, I'm not saying if they try to cancel you last minute, it'd be like, oh, I'm great. Canceling last minute is horrible. But if they don't have a track record of it, be flexible. Say, you know what, life happens. Cool, let's reschedule. But again, your time is your time, so I can't tell you, what price to pay. If you have a policy that you don't refund or whatever, or cancellations, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. But I am asking you, just be flexible. Say, hey, I understand. Don't make it a habit. Don't make it a habit. So another thing to ask, and by the way, guys, I'm also waiting for your questions. For those of you who are not here, my name is Japanese Tutor. I am a chess coach, and I love doing what I do. I've spent many hours in personal development trying to get better at my craft, which is teaching chess, and just becoming a more effective teacher. And here I am teaching you guys the tips that I've learned throughout my career teaching. I have taught English, I have taught Japanese, and also chess. I did a few crochet lessons, but we won't go there. No crochet lessons for you. I will not tell you how to be the best crochet person. So, another cool thing that I like telling my students is the value of their time and the value of my time. Now, I normally do not like going over openings with my students. Now, I can agree with people saying if I give them a good opening, they will become better and get better positions and win more of their games and gain rating. Yes. But what happens Now that their opening is better, but then they can't convert winning middle games and winning end games, what happens then? They lose. And now I have to break them and break their thinking again and reteach them. Instead of that, I say, you do openings. You learn what's best for you. I will recommend some books. I will recommend, getting chess piece. I will recommend, looking at this game, looking at this line. But the opening is up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to play. You right? Especially if they're adult. I hated it as a kid when somebody told me what to do. I hate it to this day. If somebody says, "Oh, you have to do this," oh, I have to. I see. And in my head, I'm just like, nah, I'm not. I'm not selling GameStop. No matter what, I'm not selling. That's a little joke of our time. Sorry. Right? But yeah. And the next thing is have fun. Which goes back into like smiling and enthusiasm, but you should be having fun as well. Not only the student, but you should be having fun. Kind of exploring and getting better with your student, because the better you can explain something, the more you understand it, if that makes sense. And a meeting point, are pawn structures and breaking them important for someone at 1450 chess? Yeah, I think pawn breaks are pretty much the first step to playing strategical chess. So I honestly think that pawn breaks and understanding pawn structures is a very important lesson for someone to learn. Thank you for asking. Okay, so let's No, of course. So, another thing that adult learners, they kind of struggle with is notation and stuff like that. And because chess is a language, right? Like, uses the same part of their brain. We talked about this before. Like, I have a video on my YouTube actually about treating chess as a language and using different theories and hypotheses from language acquisition. Especially the research done in the 40s and 50s, and in 1978. Well, you can go watch that video, but using concepts from there to teach chess a bit more effectively. So that's a little self promo. I won't do a lot of it, but yeah, check out my the Twitch. I'm also trying to get some followers, so follow the Twitch if you want to just ask questions whenever you want. Not only during this at Coach University. But then the second place to find me is on YouTube, where I give basically chess lessons for free. I've covered the Dutch Stonewall, and I've covered the Sicilian Dragon and how to win. I've covered pawn end games, middle games, many different advanced, intermediate, and beginner type lessons. So it's a free way to get better. So I encourage you to go there. So let's see. Did I miss anything? Did I miss any questions? Oh no problem. Okay, so another thing that's really big with adult learners is respect. Be sensitive in the way you use your language. Okay, especially in this time where a lot of things can offend people. Even what I said can offend somebody. So just be very careful with the word choice and language. I think the best policy is just to kind of adopt a caring attitude. If you care, or they feel like you care, you'll come across as more genuine and trustworthy, and they will hopefully not get as, or they won't be as quickly triggered as they would normally be. One of the things that comes with respect, and this happens a lot in the chess world, which I actually despise, I hate it, is respecting people's opinions. Now, yes, they're coming to you because you're the stronger player. But just because, let's say they're like 300 rated, doesn't make their opinion any less valid. It is your job to just correct them. Right? And try to explain it in a way that they can understand it. Right? If somebody really doesn't know how to play, let's say they just started playing chess, and they look at a very drawn position, let's say in the dragon, let's say in the dragon main line, I say, oh, this line is winning because of the Marco Hop structure. And they're like, what's the Marco Hop structure? It's a pawn structure, and you wouldn't get it because you're too low rated. That's a wrong way to approach. Instead of saying this, you say, hey, look at this position. And these are the reasons that this is winning. Marco Hop structure is one of my favorite pawn structures in the Sicilian. The pawn structure, it goes A4 for white, A4, B3, C4, D5. The idea is that the rooks, and you cannot train queens in that structure. That's kind of a little bit of knowledge for you guys. So not only learning how to become a better teacher, but you're also learning how to become a better chess player. The idea is that you don't trade queens, you make Alekhine gun or Aliyohin's gun on the e-file, and try to put enough pressure on the e-pawn that they have to do something with it, and then push on the king side and win. Would it be a good routine for an adult to get in a good mind state prior to lesson and learning? Something to empty head and get peak focus. Ooh, I like that. That's a great question. Okay. So I do this before every tournament. The day prior to the tournament, I don't look at chess at all. I'll play Rocket League, League of Legends, I will play some basketball. I just don't want to see any chess at all. And for me, I've learned that it's worked. Every tournament that I did that for, I have won. So it's unfortunate that I didn't win the World Open. But that is my routine. For some people, it might be chewing on or having some peppermint candy. Right? I've heard that helps some people. Also, I want to add a point to meeting points question. When is it a good time for an adult learner to maybe consider getting a coach? So for me, I feel like there are a lot of free resources out there. And you would only get a coach if you want to get from point A to point B faster. Right? A lot of the times you can do it, but it's going to take a little bit longer. So you're just using a coach to expedite that process. So, that being said, do all the free stuff first, and then once you're ready, you've exhausted, or you're just exhausted of working by yourself. That's when you get a coach. Now, Paragraph says to my previous things, we haven't covered this yet. Can you trust me on this for now? I want to say, for that, maybe a better way is to say, hey, the Marco hop structure is something that I would love to teach you, but this is not the topic of today's lesson. So let's put let's put it on the back burner for now. But if we have time after the lesson, or if we can get through this quickly, then I would love to show you what's up. Right? I feel like that really engages them more, because it's just not like, oh, I'm putting my trust blindly in you. It's a decision that we're making together. Right? Because we all want to be involved. Or like, oh, we haven't really covered the advanced French yet. That's gonna happen very soon. But once we finish this, let's look at it real quick. Right? And now they're like, oh, yeah, I can look at it. Let's finish this. They're excited because you're gonna answer their question. But make sure you answer their question, because it's really rude if you say we're gonna do something and you don't do it. Right. Exactly. Definitely. You don't want to go off on a tangent, which is the really strong thing about the parking lot technique. The one that I mentioned before, where you take their question, right? You take their question and say, hey, this is a great question, but let's put it on the back burner for now. Or you don't say that to them, but you just say, hey, like, it's a great question. I want to answer it. I don't want to forget what I was just teaching. But I will answer your question. Let me get through this, and if there's time at the end of class, I will teach it to you. Or right after this, I will address that, depending on the relevancy of everything, or how relevant it is to the topic. Oh, no. Yeah, I've heard that before. I remember at the Marshall, there was a lesson being conducted, and I was playing Blitz, and I heard, oh, you don't have to worry about that. Like, you're not strong enough to like worry about that, and your rating range is not going to play like this. I was in shock. And this is actually I'm not going to even say I'm not going to say anything about them, but I was just like, are you serious? How can you even say that to somebody? I would have felt shocked, and I would have felt like so upset. Like, how could you even talk to me like this? But the person just accepted it. But I was just like, no, like, that's just so rude. To be fair, it's a valid argument. So look, strength wise, like, I wouldn't want to teach somebody, like, what's an advanced concept? It's an advanced. Okay, I wouldn't want to teach corresponding squares or mind squares to someone who is learning opening principles. Right? But if they had specific questions, I would do my best to answer them in the best way I possibly could, and say, hey, we're going to have future lessons on this topic. So it's not really relevant to our topic, but let's go over it when you have the chance, right? So, like, you're not like just brushing them off and saying, hey, no, we're not going to look at this. And if you don't have time at the end of the class, then you just don't have time. And maybe you can send them something. You can send them some material, which might be easier for you. But for me, at least, it shows that you care. That's all I'm about. But yeah, meeting point. Thank you so much for that question, and Paragraph. Thank you so much for the comments. I really like this, and feel free if you want to join in the conversation. Let's work. Let's just talk. Let's talk together. Thank you guys so much for the follows. I'm seeing them right now. I don't have them up here, but I am seeing all the follows, and I really appreciate you supporting. I'm trying to get at 6,000. I think I'm at 5.5K right now. So the goal is 6,000. Let's make it happen. Also, follow if you and hit that notification bell if you want to talk to me, or maybe you come up with another question and say, hey, I reflected on what you said during the lesson or during this Coach University, and I want to kind of expand, or maybe maybe you came up with a question, or maybe you have an answer to a question that I gave the chat, or maybe you have a different viewpoint. You're a teacher yourself, but student at chess, so this is super helpful both ways. Right. Meeting, yeah. So the point is, if you're an effective teacher, then you can try to be an effective learner as well. So it's really interesting how that works, right? What would you say is the most difficult part of coaching adults? What is the most difficult? Chess egos. That is something that yeah. So when people have ratings, at least in the chess world, there are some people that are elitist and gatekeep a lot, right? They're like, oh, these players are not strong, and so maybe they shouldn't join the conversation if there's, let's say, like a few title players talking about a chess position, right? And so there's some gatekeeping and some elitism in chess. It's been talked about before. But sometimes, let's say one of my students, he was 1800, right? And he lost to a 1400. And he was so upset. He was like, there's no way he's 1400. He's a liar, he's a scammer. And I'm like, did you play your best chess? He's like, no, but he should have fell for that. 1400s fall for this. He wasn't playing his best chess. He was playing for tricks based off the opponent's rating. And now it happens to kids as well. Right? I'm not saying that this is only a uniquely thing, but I feel like adults get this a little bit more than kids, like almost a sense of entitlement, like, hey, I worked hard to get here, and there's no way that you're better than me if your rating's lower. And I always say, hey, play your best chess. Doesn't matter their rating. If it helps you, do not look at their rating. If you know you're playing white and you're looking at the pairing sheet, literally like cover, the black side with their with a sheet of paper and only look at your name and what board you're on. Right? I don't care what my opponent's rating is. I say, look, because I also can play into fear as well, right? Like, oh, this guy's a GM. He's going to beat me. He's 2,500. No, whoever sits in front of me is getting that work. That's how I always tell my students to feel. If I'm sitting in front of you, I'm going to get this work. All right? You're going to destroy me. I need you to be confident in what you can do. But also, don't downplay what somebody else can do. Play your best chess. No matter what, every single time, play the best chess possible. Do not go for tricks because you'll be like, oh, maybe he won't see it. Do not play hope chess by all means necessary. Like, just don't do it, right? Don't play hope chess. Play your best chess. Okay, sorry. But that is the most, like, dealing with chess egos. Okay, what are some things that 1,000 rated players do? I think I play too much 3-2 instead of study. Do you need to study? I don't know. It depends on your goals. Maybe, like, I think playing and doing tactics, you can get fairly strong. That's your question. How am I doing tonight? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm having a lot of fun. I like this coaching university. I do it once a month. It's great. Is Nightbot taking a break? I think Nightbot might be taking a break. So Blitz is but it depends on what their goals are. If you want to be the best chess player you can be, then do a little bit of studying, and I would say like play some rapid, but chess should be fun. At the end of the day, it's just a game. It's just a game. Enjoy it. See. And so for those of you who are asking about lessons and getting lessons with me, all you have to do is hit me up on Discord. Let's go ahead and talk. I still have some availability, not too much availability. So just hit me up on Discord and we can talk. The way you get to my Discord is just to go ahead, come to the Twitch. You'll get it. You can teach me. Yeah. I really feel like, so I'm learning Russian, right? And I feel the best way to teach this. So the reason I'm learning Russian is because I have 2 Russian students that don't speak English. Right now, I just got them like 3 days ago. Brand new to the school that I'm working at. And I have to learn Russian. Nobody else wants to take them. They're like, I'm not here to speak Russian. Like, I'm here to just, be here and teach. But I'm like, this is an opportunity for me. Because if I learn Russian, they're going to listen to me. And not listen to me like, I have classroom management problems. I don't. I have the best classroom management ever. I say, yo, and the kids always go, yo. It's a little New York thing. You guys wouldn't get it. You're too weak in New York slang. No, yeah, like, so I'm learning like basic stuff now, like, как дела? Хорошо. Нет, да. Brot. My brot. I can read more because I'm using Duolingo. Papa. Motor. Cafe. Basic words, Strovoichi. But the point is that I'm really trying to connect with those students. Suggest, Sajid Pajausta, like, please sit down. Like, I'm really trying to get, good with those kids, because now that I've built rapport, they're willing to basically listen to whatever I have to say. And now, when I go to teach them chess, I haven't even taught them chess yet. Why? I'm trying to build a connection first. Right? I build a connection to my student first, which is good for all ages. All ages. Adult learners, children. Build that connection first. And then teach. I have a whole video series on how to get better at chess. Go ahead and look at the YouTube, and it's titled "How to Get from 300 to Master." And I give, I think, like 8 book or 9 book recommendations, and I tell you for each level what books you should get. And by the way, 8 books is like, it's only it's very, very cheap considering. Listen. Which language was more challenging to teach? What question was more challenging to teach? I've only taught English and Japanese. I think English is a little bit harder since I'm like, even though English is my second language, I think English was harder for me to teach because I speak it at a native level. So it was harder for me to teach. Fisher read the Russian informant that was his informant into the way the Russian players thought and played. Yeah, exactly. And I learned that the word pizza means pizza. So it's the same thing, pizza, in Russian. So now you know the Russian word, okay, guys? So, another thing about adult learners is that you never want to limit somebody based on how old they are, or you never want to go slower than you need to. I'm gonna give you a good case in point. One of my students came to me, and she was, I think, at the time, 52 years old. And she has ambitions and dreams to become a woman FM. And possibly even stronger. Her rating on chess.com, I think when we first started, was 270 or 300. Somewhere around there. She fluctuated. 52 years old. Right? And within a year, we got her to 1800. And she lives in Japan. And she drew the best female chess player in Japan. Which I think is a WFM. In 1 year. I did not place any limits on her. I gave her all the materials to study. We did about 2 hours a week. We did 2 hours a week. And she got to 1800. And she had work. She didn't quit everything. She still had to work 40 hours a week. Plus the commute time. Plus everything I was telling you. So basically 4 hours or 5 hours of studying a week really made a difference. She was a hidden prodigy until you started. You know what? I like to give credits to my students. I love giving credits to my students. You know, for me, I'm just a guide. I just can guide you how to get stronger, right? You have to put in the work. So yes, I think that she was a prodigy. She was a very hidden prodigy. She obviously spent 40 hours a week studying chess. Yes, exactly. $4 a week is quite a lot of time. Yeah. But the most amazing thing was the age factor for me, because I've taught older men, like older, sorry, not men, sorry. I've taught older people in general. Like I think my oldest student was 79. He was about a 1400 rated player. Actually no, he was like 1200. But it's just how quickly she got to where she got. That surprised me. I was just like, what? I don't live in Japan. I do not live in Japan. I'll be in Japan very soon. If you're asking for personal recommendations, the best advice that I can give you without charging you, that is go look at my YouTube series. Do tactics on chess.com. That is honestly the best way. Doing tactics on chess.com. Doing following the channel, coming in and asking me questions. I give out all the information basically for free. Except when I have to charge you. I'm kidding. Just do tactics. Is going to take you over, because it's just pattern recognition, and then you'll be able to get better and better, and then set up your own traps and ideas. So here's the channel. There you go. Yeah, tactics. Tactics are definitely going to get you there. Tactics are literally the way that you gotta go. Like, just do tactics every single day. Like, I would say spend 30 minutes a day on tactics and you'll be fine. Oh yeah, puzzlesonchess.com. Exactly. Yeah, puzzles. Another word for puzzles is tactics. Play tactics and Papa Tic Tac. Yeah. Exactly. So do you guys have any questions about teaching? Maybe are some of you teachers and you need maybe some help? Because you guys had amazing questions in our last session that I really wanted to give more time on the floor for you guys. How do you stay productive? Like, you seem like a busy person. Oh, that's actually a good one. That's actually a great one. Right off the bat, like, literally as soon as I say ask questions, you guys come up with a banger. Okay. So, I am a busy person. I am probably, with the combination of everything I do, I'm spending about 70 to 80 hours working. On top of that, I stream. Right? And the way I stay productive is that I try to find something to do and some way to learn something every single day, no matter what, and become better at something. That's what always motivates me. How can I do something better? What's the best way to do this? In thinking about getting better, I hate mediocrity. Right? So that's how I stay productive. Now, people have their off swings. You might have a month where you're in a rut. It happens to everyone. And you just have to go through them. But if you can work during that time where you're sad or you're mad or something is just not going right in your life, then imagine what you can do when you feel happy and motivated. Next question. Have you ever had a student that you felt was better suited to checker? No, that's a funny question. That's a great question. So no, I never had a student that I felt was better suited to checkers. Although I've used the joke, chess is a game about rules and, try to follow directions and stuff like that and making sure that you understand what your opponent is trying to do. If you can't really follow directions or can understand what their opponent is doing, then you should probably play checkers. But it was a joke. He loves banter. So I gotta give him what he wants. For any other student, I wouldn't have said that. For me, that's crossing the line. But he likes to banter a little bit, so I'll give it right to him. Okay, let's see. Hey, Drew. You need to do more tactics. Had a streak of yeah. It happens a lot where you lose just tactically sometimes, and just, once you do your tactics and you do them consistently, you won't see anything change until about a month in of consistently doing tactics. Kind of like working out, right? You really you'll see some preliminary gains, but then you don't really see anything until a month in. You're like, oh wait, I lost 10 pounds. Great. If someone isn't getting a concept, how do you change your way of teaching to help them understand? So, right before everything, when I'm creating my lesson, I think about what questions are they going to ask me, right? And I try to tackle those problems first. And I break things down to their like the core elements and give absolute facts about what I'm trying to teach and have them agree with me. Not force them, say, hey, can we both agree that this is a pawn? Can we both agree that this is a king and that the king cannot catch the pawn, right? Or something along that line. Just facts. Right? And then say, hey, this is why this happens because of the fact that we described before, and this is how. And if it takes, a little bit slower and just slower pace and just making sure that they get that one point, it's worth it. Especially in person, you just change the board around and be like, okay, let's do it a different position and we'll come back to this one. Drew, I have a whole video of it. Go to my YouTube. Go to the YouTube. And the video is called 300 to Master. Sorry, chess coaches. Go get those books. And thank you for everyone who's been following. So many thank yous. We're trying to hit 6K followers, and each one of you following gets me a little bit closer to that goal. Right. So one of the final points that I kind of want to bring before I kind of open up the floor to Q&A is that the instruction that you give to an adult learner should be problem centered. You should focus on solving a problem in the position, solving a problem, and not like just a chess problem, but something that's happening during the game. Like White's bishop is trapped, or White's bishop is behind its own pawns. What do? Right? What do? And have them find the solution. You're basically almost baiting them. Like you're like literally feeding them the answer. And it's a guided question. But if you can give them those easy ones for them to understand the harder ones later, it's worth it. Does that make sense? Hey Jackson, how are you doing? What's the title for the video about books? The title for the video, I think it's called 300 to Master. And that's also the thumbnail. And it says, sorry, chess coaches. I'm doing well. Doing this Coach University. I'm waiting for people to kind of respond to some questions or ask questions of their own. My question to you guys is, when teaching, have you ever been super frustrated with your student not getting the answer to a very easy problem, and what did you do? I'm not a chess coach. I just like chess. Well, that's fine. Yeah, we are on Chess TV. This is a segment that I do every month with chess.com, helping chess coaches become the best coaches they can possibly be. Breaking down into the most basic elements and then give it to them. Respect, exactly. Much respect to you guys. And that said, how long have I been coaching? That's a good question. How long have I been coaching? I've been coaching for about, I want to say 13 years now. 12 years. I have to teach people accounting, not chess. Yeah, accounting. I mean, but you can still use some of the same aspects of this, right? Especially like adults, you can use self-directed learning, right? Where for children, you kind of have to like literally be the guide for them. Whereas as if you an adult, you can say, "Hey, study this, this, and this," and we'll come back and we can talk about what you learned. They're more likely to do it. So like younger people are just more dependent on their teachers, where the adult, since they're doing it for themselves, is capable of going above and beyond. Here, I'll go ahead and find it for you. Let's see. Thank you, Jai got it. Yeah, thank you so much for helping me get it. Do you think starting with endgame puzzles is a great way to teach the game to little kids? I read that somewhere, but I never tried it. So yeah, actually, this is the way that I recommend teaching. I recommend that you start from the end game, because that's where you're going to do a lot of the calculating and, them understanding the turn-based game that chess is. Right? If you can teach them, pawn and king end games from the very beginning, they have to calculate step by step. Right? Like it's literally like, hey, 1 2 1 2, and I can't do that, I'm losing. Let's go this way. Let's go that way. Right? So that's the way that I like to teach. Just end games and really try to draw end games, because in the end game, you make one mistake, you lose. And if you make a mistake in the opening, maybe you can make a draw, come back, whatever, cool. But make a mistake in the end game, GG. Okay, how do you improve the calculations? I've seen people say play out 6 moves in your head and then see if you can place the pieces. I don't know if you need 6 moves. There's rarely any time that you really need 6 moves ahead, and those lines sometimes are forcing lines. Although there are some ideas that require like some quiet moves that sometimes it's very hard to see in your head if you don't have practice. But the best way to improve the calculation. The best way to improve at calculations is just to do more tactics and solve harder problems. And then on top of that, try to come up with ideas in your games and stick through, and just try to find the best move for your opponents as well. I remember there was this line I had to calculate, like every move for the next 10 moves and all the branches. And I was sitting there for about 40 minutes on one move because I thought I had to win. And I ended up having a win. So sat for 40 minutes in a tournament. It was the last round. And no. It was the second to last round at Pennsylvania. It was a National Chess Congress in Philadelphia, 2018, second to last round. I played the dragon, and I literally blitzed up my whole opening, and then for that one move, I thought for 40 minutes. I had 2 hours on my clock, I believe, and I had to look at all those moves, all those lines, right? Like move one, they have 4 different replies, and then I had to go through each one of those. Move two, move three. I sacked the piece, I got initiative, and I was able to win. So it wasn't even that clear, but I just was like, this is, I calculated it out, and it was like, I believe that this is winning enough for me to go for this. I don't think humans can catch up to AIs the way they're playing right now. I mean, they just have more processing power than we do. Although, since AIs are developed by humans, then there might be a way to play anti AI chess. Uh, you know, they have more processing power. Right, but it's like there's specific, like, okay, I'm gonna play the engine, so I'm gonna play this one line. Talking about AIs, whenever looking over your games and your whenever looking at games for your students, tell them to not use the engine as soon as they want to look at that game. Tell them to go over it once before without the engine. See if they can find their mistake and the other mistakes in their game, and then turn on the engine after that. Now I'm taking in any more questions. Any questions at all? Do you recommend rapid games or blitz bullet to improve? Hmm. I think each one of them has their own thing. I do like blitz and bullet, like they're great for opening practice, but I feel like for me rapid games are better, but I do not enjoy rapid games online. It's just a little bit too slow for me, and that's not what I'm online for. I'm online to have some fun and just mess around. So for me, it's just not good. But I do recommend to my students to play, so that I have quality games to reference. I don't want to see them win, just because they played fast. I don't care about those wins. Actually, I can probably show you a game here. Let's show you a game. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it up. If it's in the Discord, it's in your game, so you can actually see it. Here we go. I'm just gonna insert this game, and we can. Okay. So I was black this game, and so this was a blitz game. But my opponent, he's like, I think he's 2,500 on chess.com. But he's an FM. He's a very strong player. He has like 5 IM norms. Hasn't made the rating of the tournaments. You know, and so knight c6, d3, d6, and they play f4. And obviously, you know, playing here doesn't really make sense because what are the main breaks in the position? Well, maybe f5 or d5. So e6 makes a lot of sense here. A castle, maybe f5, maybe d5, maybe none of those. Who knows? I'm very flexible right now. And then what's very funny about this is that kind of like start pressing. So like I kind of want to like go for my plan, and I kind of want to get this rook out of the way of this bishop, right? Even though they have to move a lot of pieces out of the way. Prophylaxis. Right, rook b8, and it's up here. Oh, okay, now they're saying rook b8 is a little bit better than what it was. Maybe I'm just a genius. Maybe I'm just a genius, right? Anyways, rook b8, pretty good move. Anyways, doesn't matter about playing perfect or not. I just thought about good moves, and even in this kind of position, what would you do, right? Are the best players naturally gifted, or can anyone be the best player given thousands of hours of practice? That's hard to say. That's really, really tough. Because there's a saying that, you know, talent, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Right? Hey, Kimmy. Kimmy's a streamer, guys, so go ahead and follow her and shower her with follows and subs and stuff like that. Good game, good game. Yeah. You had me crushed. I got lucky. Right, and so what would you do in this position? And this is very thought-provoking, right? There's a lot of things that you can do. And obviously, I mean, you have the engine helping you up there, but I thought someone was impersonating you, not gonna lie. Japan tutor, yeah. Hilarious. Right, and so we can even stop and think and say, okay, what does white have going for them? What does black have going for them? And I think, I'm just trying to defend things, and after c3, knight c6 is, I don't like that move. It looks a little bit ugly to me, so knight f5, right? Even though this knight is probably going to move, and then I can just move my knight here, but who wants to do that when I can just play here in one move? Just take the knight, and then I have a really nice idea. So bishop g7, they attack me, and now bishop b7. Saying if you want to trade, we can trade, basically. So and one of my most I'm gonna take off the thing here. So I play queen f3 here. And I want you to find the move that I played and the idea behind it. You look like a budget Nepo. First of all, I look like a budget Drake. So you can call me Apple Cider Poppy, alright? No, they're on a different site. So I'm featured on Chess TV. This is a show that I do for chess.com every month about how to become a stronger chess coach. Yeah, and a lot of them are just kind of like just watching and just lurking. All right, so bishop. Okay, well, yeah, okay. Here, let's do it like this. Okay, yeah, bishop f6, and then what? Bishop f6, and then what? Bishop f6, rookie 6. Yeah. So that's what I found in the game. So very, very deep move. Especially like in Blitz, right? Like in Blitz, you're usually like just playing like whatever you see first. Yeah, I was very proud of this. And so I mouse slipped and played here, but instead just here's me. So, but I had to live with my consequences. So, yeah. Anyways, I won the game. I have 6 pawns, and yeah. But you can even like take snapshots from their games and say, "Oh, let's solve this tactic," right? Solve this tactic, and then like, "Oh, great, I love tactics." And then you're like, "Oh yeah, that was from your game." You're welcome.